He's the man behind Apple's sports ambitions, Eddie Q. In an exclusive interview, we talk about the tech giant's unique sports strategy, why games look better on Apple, and whether a blockbuster acquisition is on the horizon. It wasn't long ago that F1 rights sold for I think it was $4 million, maybe 12 years ago to NBC. Where has all the value come from? It's not all Drive to Survive.
No, look, I think in the U.S., everyone talks about how big Formula One is now. And the reality is because it was nowhere. And so if you're nowhere, it's gotten huge. But the truth is, it's not huge yet.
It's only about 1 million people or so that watch a given race.
That's right. And so when you compare it from a sports point of view, that's pretty tiny. So there's a huge potential for the sport. And when you look at it, it's a sport that's global. It's a sport that it's the only sport in the world that I can recall that where the actual events take place everywhere in the world, not in a single place. The athletes, they're incredible athletes. There is as what they can do, very few other athletes can do. So that's another piece of it. You have those incredible brands, and I love Cadillac coming on board. So you have all these brands of cars that are involved in it. You have these. It's much more than just driving now. There's a whole social component, culture component with the athletes themselves. Heck, even the team principals have become, movie stars or TV stars now. I know Toto's coming in later. We were having dinner last night in Soho, and he gets stopped all the time for photos. And everybody's like, well, go way back. No, like 5 years ago, nobody would know who Toto was as he was walking down, Soho. Now not everyone, but tons of people do know. So I think there's a huge, huge potential for the sport in the U.S. specifically.
What can Apple do to improve the viewing experience? I mean, you've dabbled now. Are there certain lessons you can take from your partnership with MLS, for instance?
Yeah, we learned a lot with Major League Baseball and MLS. I mean, one of the first things, which is kind of obvious, but you'd be surprised if you've never watched a Major League Baseball game or an MLS game on Apple on our service. The first thing you notice is the quality. And you'd say, well, what do you mean the quality? Or, you're 4K, everybody else is 4K, or any of that standpoint. Everybody else compresses their video quite a bit. And so when you watch one of our games, you're like, well, wait a second, why does this look better than anything I've ever seen? So when you watch a Major League Baseball game, you've never seen that at that level. So we've done that. We've put cameras in places that have never been on the umpire. We did one cool thing. We put it on a foul pole with an iPhone. So for the first time ever, a couple months ago, we had the iPhone actually live broadcasting from a baseball game. And we put the iPhone on the foul pole. Obviously, you can never put a camera there or other places. And you could not tell. The only way you could tell is because we put a bug on the bottom saying, hey, this is being broadcast by an iPhone. Imagine why we would do that. But so we've done a lot of innovative things. And I think Formula One can do that in spades because there's so much data that happens in Formula One. There's all the radio broadcasts. There's all the different teams that you want to follow or drivers. So there's all kinds of capabilities, but it's hard to do today.
So on the subscription front, what is the solution?
Well, look, in a way we've gone backwards because you used to buy one subscription, your cable subscription, and you got, pretty much everything they had. Now, like I said, there's so many different subscriptions. So I think that needs to be fixed. You can't ask people to subscribe to,
And so how do you fix that? You opt into a bundle of streaming services?
Look, I don't have all the answers from that standpoint. I think, we fixed it with MLS because.
Well, sort of. Because you're also contributing to the problem, right? Now, if I want to watch MLS, I've got to subscribe to Apple TV. If it was just on ESPN, I wouldn't have to do that.
That's right. That's you got to have some more bundles from that standpoint. Everything being single is a problem, but I think having a single place where there are no blackouts, no matter where you are in the world, anyone can buy it from that standpoint. You can watch any game. It's easy to switch back and forth from that standpoint. Things, picture in picture has been around forever, but it's really hard to do. if they let you do it at all, but in most cases they can't let you do it because of the rights issues. I mean, this is pretty basic stuff that I think can grow the sport. And I think one of the concerns that you see is, when I was a kid, you were competing against what? I had, 5 TV channels or whatever there is from that standpoint. Now, if you're a kid growing up today and you want people to watch your sport, there's a lot of competition for that, eyes. And so I think the bar is really high. And I think if we want people to watch games and we want all of sports to grow, I think some of these things need to be fixed.
There seems to me to be a little bit of a tension in that. I know your stated strategy with sports is that you want, like the MLS, you want all the rights. You want it globally. You want the whole package. You don't want to compete for just sort of chunks of sports, although that is what you do with baseball.
Yeah, I would say it's slightly differently. I think it's okay. There are sports where that's not going to happen.
Right.
Or not going to happen anytime soon.
Exactly. It's not going to happen with basketball. It's not going to happen with football. It's not going to
happen with the NFL.
Right.
Let's just start with
pretty much with sports in the U.S. That's not going to happen. To me, that's a tension, right?
But that doesn't mean that a league or a sport could demand its partners to work together. But these things are, they're complicated. Just even worldwide rights are complicated.
An ESPN executive once told me that you would love to buy ESPN. Is that true?
I love Bob Iger is a dear friend. Disney's a great company, and I'm a huge fan of ESPN as a sports fan. But at Apple, we like doing things ourselves. We like building things. We start generally from scratch and build, and that takes a little longer from that standpoint. But I think it lets us do things that are unique and special.